Landing along Standard East. Request alert. I'm going to ask everyone to hold a 1 minute silence for the Queen. So, welcome to Gunwharf Quays, Portsmouth. This Scout Zone was first held at Gunwharf Park, the UK Scouting HQ, and it was held at 11 AM on Sunday the 5th of September 2021, when a commemorative plaque to Scouts Marr and Mooney was officially unveiled. The intention was then to pass on and share and hold the Scout Zone with fellow Scouts around the world, all along the original route of Quest's 1921 to 1922 voyage, exactly 100 years after the Quest left each location. We held it successfully in London, in Lisbon, in Madeira, in Rio de Janeiro, in fact underneath the statue of the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro, in Cape Town, and many other smaller islands and ports. This included the Request 2021 team holding a service on board ship whilst visiting the Antarctic Peninsula on the 5th of January 2022, the 100th anniversary of Shackleton's passing. The very same day, I'm proud to say that a young scout, Connor MacLeod, and various officials of the South Georgia government also held it at Shackleton's graveside. After returning from Antarctica, the Scout Zone ceremony was held at Fordell Firs in Scotland, the Scottish Scouting HQ, where a replica plaque was installed. It was then held this Friday, 2 days ago, in Plymouth on the 16th of September, and this is the final time we're going to hold it here in Portsmouth, 18th of September, where Scout Marr finished his year-long voyage. That one there. Okay, that brings us to this. Commemorative plaques. The inscription on the plaques reads as follows: Remember James William Slessor Marr, 1902 to 1965, and Norman Erland Mooney, 1905 to 1945, who took part in the 1921 Shackleton Quest expedition. Note that the official name of the expedition was the Shackleton Rowett Expedition. However, like many expeditions of the heroic age, it was also often referred to by the expedition ship, in this case, Quest. The plaque was designed by stonemason Mark Brooks from Canterbury, and it marks the Request 2021 expedition to Antarctica, 100 years after two scouts sailed with Sir Ernest Shackleton on his final voyage of exploration. 3 plaques were produced. The first was installed and unveiled at Gunwharf, UK Scouting Headquarters, on 5th of September. A second replica plaque was installed at Lurgrange Farm, which is Kent Scouts Headquarters. And the third replica, as you've just heard, was installed at Fordale Firs in Scotland on the 11th of September last week. So there's a picture of the plaque there, just so you can see the plaque that we're talking about. If you do go up to Gilwell, have a look out for it.
Shackleton Rowett Expedition. The Shackleton Rowett Expedition of 1921 to 1922 was financed by Shackleton's friend, the businessman and philanthropist John Rowett. They had met during their school days at Dulwich College, London. In September 1921, the expedition sailed on the ship Quest with plans to survey the islands and navigation routes of the southern oceans. On the 5th of January 1922, upon arrival at the island of South Georgia, Sir Ernest Shackleton, who was in ill health, died on board Quest.
The Boss as I Knew Him, an extract from the Book of the Quest, by Dr. Leonard Hussey, a member of Sir Ernest Shackleton's last two expeditions. To have known Sir Ernest Shackleton was a privilege, but to have worked with him, shared his hardships...
Just let this pass and then you'll be able to hear better. So we'll just let it pass. That's alright now. Yeah, that's alright.
shared his hardships and his adventures, and to have secured his friendship was a privilege according to few. I count myself very fortunate that I was one of those few. He had a great admiration for the Boy Scout movement, so much so that he took two scouts, Marr and Mooney, with us to on the last expedition on the Quest. Sir Ernest was one of the greatest Englishmen that the world has ever seen, and we lost our best friend when he went. Still, we tried to carry on as he would like us to have done, and we are never tired of talking about him and hearing of him. He is still very near us, and in carrying on his ideals and traditions, we feel that he is attaining true immortality as long as the Englishmen and English boys can appreciate a true man. Shackleton's name will be held up as an example, as an ideal. He would desire no fitter epitaph than he played the game.
Scouts Marr and Mooney. The Shackleton Rowett expedition was the first polar expedition to involve Scouts. Following nationwide recruitment, Scouts Norman Mooney and James Marr were selected to join the crew of Quest. Mooney, from Orkney, was badly affected by seasickness and returned home from Madeira a few weeks into the voyage. Upon his return to Orkney in 1921, Mooney registered as a student engineer at the Royal College of Science and Technology in Glasgow. After graduation, he took on a role as a land surveyor with Ordnance Survey based in Southampton. In 1929, Mooney passed the Colonial Survey examination, and he was employed by the Colonial Office as a land surveyor in Nigeria, mapping previously uncharted areas. On the 20th of November 1945, at the age of 40, he was tragically killed when an accident occurred while he was out surveying. James Marr from Aberdeen went on to become a marine biologist and a polar explorer in his own right, publishing seminal work on the natural history of Antarctic krill. In 1943, Marr was selected to lead a covert mission called Operation Tabarin. Tabarin was the predecessor of the Falkland Island Dependency Surveys, which later became the British Antarctic Survey. In 1954, Marr became one of the only 18 men to have received both the bronze and silver polar medals. In 1961, he was appointed president of the Antarctic Club. Marr died at the age of 62 from emphysema and bronchopneumonia on the 29th of April 1965 at Milford Chest Hospital, Busbridge, Surrey, after a prolonged period of illness.
Request 2021. The Kent Scouts Request 2021 Antarctic Research Project marks the centenary of the Shackleton Rowett expedition. A team of 10 scouts from Kent and Scotland explored the waters and islands of the Antarctic during January 2022. In keeping with the spirit of the original expedition, Request 2021 is carrying out research projects with themes of peace, heritage and environment, and aims to leave a lasting legacy to inspire young people to explore the world around them. The project itself has 10 objectives shown on the back of these cards. Voyage. Participate as members of the crew on the bark Europa on a voyage to Antarctica. Projects. Undertake personal projects with each team member presenting their results. Centenary. Hold centenary flag ceremonies in both the UK and Antarctica. Plaques. Unveil commemorative plaques to Scout Mara and Mooney in England and Scotland. Outreach. Involve young people in a series of fun and educational outreach activities. Thames. Host a pre-education PR event at Tower Bridge on Friday the 17th of September 2021. Plymouth. Participate in the Devon and Cornwall Polar Society centenary event in Plymouth. Shackleton. Celebrate and pay respects to the achievements of Sir Ernest Shackleton. Links. Build strong links with Scouts in other countries on the original expedition route. Legacy. Leaving lasting Scout polar research legacy inspired by Scout Mars work on krill.
10 to the power of 3. The project can be summed up as 10 to the power of 3. 10 Scout ambassadors, 8 from Kent, 2 from Scotland, sailing on a tall ship to Antarctica. 100 years after the original Shackleton Rowett Quest expedition back in 1921. Thousands of young people engaged and educated about 3 key lessons of peace, environment and heritage to be learned from this amazing, fragile, frozen southern continent.
Thanks, Nick. Shackleton's last diary entries. Ernest Shackleton died of heart failure in the early hours of the morning of the 5th of January 1922. These last diary entries recall his thoughts as the ship approached South Georgia. 1st of January 1922, rest and calm after the storm. The year has begun kindly for us. It is curious how a certain date becomes a milestone in one's life. Christmas Day in the raging gale seemed out of place. I dared not venture to hope that today would be as it was. Anxiety has been probing deeply into me, for until the end of the year things have gone awry. Engines are liable, furnace cracked, water short, heavy gales, all that physically can go wrong, but the spirit of all on board sound and good. There are 2 points in the adventure of the diver. One when a beggar he prepares to plunge, and one when a prince he rises with his pearl. 2nd of January 1922. Another wonderful day. Fine, clear, slight headwind, but cheerful for us after these last days of stress and strain. At 1 p.m. we passed our first iceberg. The old familiar sight aroused in me memories that the strenuous years have deadened. Blue caverns shone with the sky glow snatched from heaven itself. Green spurs showed beneath the water, and bergs mast high came sailing by as green as emerald. Ah me, the years that have gone since in the pride of young manhood I first went forth to the fight. I grow old and tired, but must always lead on. 3rd of January 1922. Another beautiful day. Fortune seems to attend us in this new year, but so anxious have I been when things are going well. I wonder what difficulty will be sprung upon me. All day long, a light wind and clear sky has been our happy position. I find a difficulty in settling down to write. I am so much more of the qui-vive. I pray that the furnace will hold out. Thankful that I can be crossed and thwarted as a man. And the final diary entry on the 4th of January 1922. At last, after 16 days of turmoil and anxiety, on a peaceful, sun-shining day, we came to anchor at Grytviken. How familiar the coast seemed as we passed down. We saw with the full interest of places we struggled over after the boat journey. Now we must speed all we can, but the prospect is not too bright, for labour is scarce. The old smell of dead whale permeates everything. It is a strange and curious place. A wonderful evening, in the darkening twilight, I saw a lone star hover, gem-like above the bay.
Following on, a poem by Robert Harding from the Book of Quest, 1929. Following on. Why am I here, a young lad little known to fame? Refilled his pipe and poked the log fire into flame. Away on the skyline frowned a snow-capped peak. Around him lay the desert, white and bleak. The grey gull's screams were ominous to hear. Why am I here? No answer came, the cold wind moaned. The boom of cracking ice, a sound of dread. In the fire's red glow, his nimble fancy roamed, and winged a hero's motto through his head. Never, never the lost endeavour, never the lowered flag. And it merged with the roar of the waters, and the blast from the icy crag. Why am I here?
To do such work he nobly left behind, to tread his trail in storm and freezing wind, his ache to feel and strength of heart, to be like him and bear the harder part, to fight that polar mountain, stark and drear, that's why I'm here. Robert Harding.
Thank you. Nothing is impossible. Baden-Powell's introduction in the Book of the Quest. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible if we set our minds to it. 21 years ago, there were 25 scouts in the world. If anyone had said, well, go and raise 2 million of them, distributed in every country over the globe, one would have said, no thank you, impossible. But the Jamboree this year will show that the impossible has been attained in the short space of 21 years. In our work with the boys, we can do a lot to lift the poorest and most hopeless out of their slough and give them hope and aspiration. We can hold them to innumerable histories of self-made success, men to whom in their early days such a future would have seemed impossible. The Scouts should be taught to kick the im from the word impossible.
Extract 10 from Into the Frozen South. Let's finish with a reading of the final words from Ma's 1923 book, Into the Frozen South. And now I can hardly believe that it was all true. Yet it was true, gloriously so. I too have seen and known and learnt. I too have companioned with the great souls who helped to make our island history. Sir Ernest Shackleton, Commander Frank Wild, and the others, all great of heart and fearless of soul, had been my shipmates and my friends. It was a memorable year indeed, and for all time I know I must carry with me a vision of tumbling waves by day and phosphorescent breakers in the night. The grind and bellow of the closing pack, the rush and roar of broken waters at the growler's feet, the hushed noises of the seals as they come to the surface in the still water of the pack, and always shall I see in mind's eye the glory of the Antarctic night. And most poignant yet, inspiring of all my memories there, is that of the lonely cross outlined against the whirling drive of the South Georgian sleet,